On today's Minute Apes, guys, I tried the Wisconsin multiphasic and I just failed. I tried over and over and over again. I think I have a mental block.
Hello and welcome to Minute of the Apes, the daily podcast where we break down every minute of the Planet of the Apes movies, 1 minute at a time. I'm Todd. It's Rich and Sean across from me. It's Friday, boys.
Heyo. Hey.
So we're going to give the warning that we are up at my house still as I recover from shoulder surgery and I'm not allowed technically to drive too far. If you hear a dog sound in the background, which is a grunting, groaning, kind of barking, stirring thing, that's because the beagle's over there in the corner. We all notice she's really loud when she's dreaming. So it's nothing that's going on. We know
that there are
apes
noises
behind us. Yes, it's there. All right, so here we go. We are into minute 15.
Yep.
Sean, tell us what's going on.
All right, we're going to start minute 15 with Dr. Dixon selecting a blue triangle and ends with Zero smirking after finishing a test.
So this is one of those minutes when I will tell you that there's not a ton of audio for you to hear. So when you hear shades going up and down and the pointing of cubes, you are hearing the correct thing. There's a little dialogue, but not much. But here it comes, minute 15 of Escape from the Planet of the Apes.
Well, she seems to be pretty smart. All right, let's make it more difficult.
All right, as of minute 15, we have a planet's worth of humans plus 3 apes.
Okay. So it comes down to this. There's tons of things going on here. I watched the multiphasic test. And being the son of a psychologist, my dad actually, when he would get tests when I was a kid,
He would test them on
he'd
you?
bring home and he would bring them home just to say, so he could see how it worked and participate. I would flunk that one every time because there's so many colors. No, it's not the shapes in there, but that one when he basically puts every shape out there, and it's like, and she just, I'm like, there's no way I'd remember all that shit. There's just not.
Well, actually, I've seen a study that they've done with apes that they will flash up numbers in a certain pattern for briefer than a human can see it, but the apes see it, and they know the numbers to hit in the right order. Huh. And if you were to try to see it, it would just go blink, blink, and you would say, guess. But the apes are just so casually, give me my peanut, give me my peanut, give me my peanut.
Well, that's just it. They're testing them without a treat. That was one of my notes as well.
There's no reward.
There's no reward for Zero to do what she's doing.
But I do think, did y'all catch Cornelius in the background kind of being rather smitten and giggling at her?
He knew that she was taking the piss out of them. Yeah.
And it's the fact that Roddy and Kim know each other, and I really have to believe that that's something the two of them are working together. And maybe the director does at least say that, but he knows how to work it to the point.
With her, that chemistry.
God, it's great.
And if they were to do that test on a chimp today, would the chimp just look at all the pieces and have no idea what to do with it? I mean, there is no basis of what you're supposed to do.
Right.
Yeah.
This really is. I assume people that are listening to this minute are people that actually love the Planet of the Apes series. And this escape from the moment, this just 1 minute is just so much joy in watching Zero just kind of like this block, this block, this block.
Deep,
and Dr. Dixon just kind of being somewhat kind of frustrated. I mean, he's not frustrated. He seems to be somewhat between frustrated and annoyed and amazed. Perplexed is a good word. Yeah. But he sets a blue triangle down on the ground or on the board and pulls the thing down, throws about 4 more blocks on, shuffles them around. He picks it up. Zira just picks her hands up. She opens her mouth for a second,
like
and then just touches it.
Yeah.
And then he just kind of they have a pause. There's a moment where she just kind of looks in with the twinkle in her eye, and he just pulls the shade right back down again. Like, oh,
what would have been better is if she touched it and then she pulled the shade down on him.
True. That the first one, when she touched the first block, that's where we actually get her turning, and the camera's now on her looking at her.
Yeah,
and she turns and she winks at them.
Yeah.
But you're so right that the twinkle in her eyes, because Kim Hunter plays this beautifully, where she's sitting there and we know Zira. And this is, again, oh my God, I watched this moment and I thought, Beneath the Planet of the Apes, if you had the reverence for the characters that continued on, we would have had moments like this. But Zaius, we all admitted, changed from who he was in the first film to who he was in the second. There was not that consistency of character that now, even though Zira's barely used in the second film, she's still the same character. Yeah. So this moment plays because we know her.
I mean, I had mentioned when we were doing Planet of the Apes that I thought maybe Zira was meant to be the lead character of the film, or this perspective we're supposed to relate to. That's all this. The minutes we've seen at this particular point, she is the one. To me, at 14 minutes in this movie, she is the star of the film. It is her that we're following. Yeah. Cornelius is there, winning it, and this moment is it's just so joyful. She turns and she winks at them, and that's when you get Cornelius kind of chuckling off. Yeah. And all of a sudden, frustrated doctor puts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks on the table, pulls the curtain up for just a brief second, then slams it back down again.
Yeah, this is a test I would have failed.
Yeah, that's what I mean. This is the one that I was too. I was like, okay, I'm out.
I'm out. I'm not as smart as an ape.
And he pulls the curtain back up. He's now got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 blocks on it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 11 blocks. He had 5. He's now got 11. He shuffled them. And you see Zira kind of opening her mouth like she's kind of thinking as she does this. And she quickly touches 3 of them. Yeah, she touches 4 of them real quickly. And then she pauses to remember the 5th one. She touches it, and then she looks right at him like, gotcha.
Oh, and it's not even a look. She kind of angles her head down.
She does. She angles her head down to look.
It's I know what I just did. Do you know?
And then we get for some reason, we get a 2-shot of Arthur and Stevie. And what I love is the fact that Stevie is looking down at the blocks as if she's in disbelief. And Arthur is looking clearly at Dr. Dixon going, well, what do you do about this?
I want to go back to something you said. Zira truly is the heart of these films to this point. Mm-hmm. These moments prove it again. She is the one bringing zest to it, and she really is the lead character that Cornelius plays off of. As a kid, I saw Cornelius as the one that I loved so much because he was smart. He was trying to use his brain, and I loved that. Man, she gets into a moment, and she just owns everything about it. As much as my dad shoved film of the classic era down my throat, I don't know enough about Kim Hunter. I'm going to have to go out and watch a little more Kim Hunter because she is fabulous in this scene. Just taking that makeup, and it's almost like the makeup is not even a factor anymore.
And maybe it's something we can talk about on the in-between, but there's a lot of times where we watch media, particularly as kids, where we kind of hone in on a character that we see as ourselves.
You identify with, yeah.
And maybe that's why you saw Cornelius at that moment, and then we come back as adults and we look at it from a different lens, that we're not necessarily looking for things that are like us.
That's a great point, Richard.
And therefore we begin to kind of break down the other characters and see more in it. So Dr. Dixon, who, after Zia just done his test, he doesn't pull the curtain back down. He then pulls the entire drawer out. Right. And sets it on the table. And it's got one of those multi-block things where you stick blocks into the patterns.
It's like a kid thing where you kind of get all the pieces back into the cube.
He is putting it on and moving the blocks. And what Zira has done is already grabbed the first block. She is ready for this test. Like, it is. Yeah. He's setting it on the counter, and she's got it. She's got it in her hand, ready to go.
She knows where this is going.
I can do this. And then you just see her go 1, 1, 1, 1. Put all the blocks in, and you see him he's not even looking really at her. He's looking down at where she puts the blocks. It's like he's just astounded.
Right.
Oh. And then we get this moment.
Oh, the little, I'm going to cross my hands and put my chin on top of it.
Ta-da.
Ta-da.
I do like
Aren't I precious?
I like in the background that Cornelius and does our other chimp have
hasn't been named yet?
He has not named yet. I didn't believe so. Cornelius and our other chimp are none too happy. You watch them; they almost know what she's doing. She may not be speaking,
right?
She's all but speaking. She's 100% showing I got more going than you think I got going.
Oh, and that's what I'm saying. She would win. She could not lose a contest.
No.
She could not lose a challenge or a test. She's that kind of a person that has to put all the best at whatever she's doing, even if it reveals who she is.
Yeah.
Cornelius, I'm sorry, dude. You lose. I loved you for so many years, but Zira, she's my sassy pants queen now. I love her. There's not a lot that happens in the minute other than that, but it is, for all, and I know I was hypercritical of the second film, for all the criticism I leveled on that one. 15 minutes into this movie, I'm already in love with it. There's such a life and a spirit to it that was not present in the last film. It's everything that I want a sequel to be, which is, even if it is a mirror of the first one, it's at least taking the characters and giving me new things. Even if that new thing is simply her playing back to what she did to other people. Yeah. I love the film already.
I completely agree. I mean, we think about Beneath, and to a certain extent Escape as well, or Planet and Beneath, and despite their situation, I'm still enjoying what I'm seeing. I mean, it's not an outright comedy, but I'm just having a good time.
Doesn't it bring to mind, and I think I said this when we first started, but doesn't it bring to mind, was it Star Trek 4 when they went to look for the whales?
Yeah, when they win the past.
Where it's still the characters, but it has a level of sweetness to it and humor. I find this already, that there is sweetness and love and humor in these characters that has been reintroduced that wasn't there in the second one.
Reading the script, I'm not sure that I would. Dane doesn't fill it with a lot of emotions. And so I'm not sure that I would have that sense. I think there's a lot to be said for the direction and for the actors they chose to do this, to kind of add a little bit of humor and lighten it up. But I mean, after coming off of Beneath, how do you win your audience back? And at least the first 15 minutes of this is doing that for me.
And to be fair, the reviews and the audience reaction, we talked about that, were that the audiences didn't dislike that it was so bleak. But I think you're right. There's enough of those people that probably felt like, God, that's really heavy. Even the first one's very heavy. To have this one with characters I like and just have a fun romp with them. Now, Don Taylor did direct some things like The Flying Nun. He had other things in there that showed that he had a reverence for a little bit lighter fare. He directed a film, the version of Tom Sawyer from 1973. I cannot think the lead, Jodie Foster, that's who was in it. So, I mean, he had a lot of work with things that were lighter. So I'm not surprised he can bring it to it, but to quickly in 15 minutes set a new tone. Wonderful job.
I think that about covers it.
I think I was about to say, I see nodding heads from both of you, so I'm going to say that minute 15's done.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything to add.
Yeah.
Awesome. It's been a good week. That's a fun week. Even though there are things to pick on with the weird sound mixing of the zoo and whatnot, it's just so far a good, fun film. And you can feel the excitement. I can't wait. I get so excited when I think of Sean watching these for the first time. Sean, where do you think this film's going as of right now?
I literally don't know.
For those of you who don't remember, Sean's never seen the classic films before.
I mean, the only thing I have to go off is the trailer, so I'm assuming at some point they're going to be introduced to society because you see them dressed in human, time-appropriate clothing. But, outside of that, it's, humans are going to get mad at them for some reason. This is an abomination against God or something. And then there's going to be some sort of riot. And then they're going to have to hide themselves. I mean, they can't hide themselves among normal chimps because they are human-sized. So they're going to have to hide themselves somehow, but I'm not sure how.
Do you see any sense of any political tones yet? I mean, we talked about the first one kind of talking about race and race relations in the U.S. We talk about the second one kind of talking about the Cold War and the development of war and the army. Do you see anything at this point if there's any political notes?
Not at this point, because I think we're still in the introductory phase of learning where we're still setting up the world that we're in. We're still world building.
I think we're about 10 to 15 minutes away from the movie needing to shift and show us the negative side of this.
Right.
Because right now it's let's trust our characters to get us here in a strange... That's the weird thing, when you can take characters that this is a strange new land for them, but make it a strange new land for us, even though it is our world. That's kind of a fun little conceit.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we are right now. All right. Well, we will be back next week for another 5 minutes of Escape from the Planet of the Apes. We'll be back tomorrow with an in-between, which we're going to record right now, and I don't know what we're going to talk about.
I don't know either.
it'll be exciting no matter what we do. I know I'm going to look at my comic books that Richard brought up to me today. But until you tune back in, I'm Todd for Richard and Sean. It's been a blast. Have a great weekend. Bye, everyone.